Uh, Homecoming, awesome day, tremendous crowd. Class of 22, 23, 24, and 25 showed out. And, I know we were probably a little over 7,000, but I just think the enormity of the excitement was a winning edge today. I really believe that. And to be able to see us build and sell out and continue to have that support is in some way a verification of all the things that are going on here. And hats off to Dr. Phil Eston and everybody else who was able to put something like that together. And it was a fun day. As far as the game goes, winning ugly is a trite term, right? But just talking to Gene as we were walking down here, we're reminded of when we did our last transition 12, 13, 14 years ago, and we started trying to turn something around. There were some really ugly games versus teams that we didn't think we'd be in that position if you look back 10 years later. And it's about trying to find ways to grow. And like I told the men, sometimes it's clumsy and sometimes it's awkward. It's kind of like adolescence, but it's also an unbelievable opportunity to get better as a team, and we did that. First half, loved the way our guys stayed poised and disciplined. I think that was a winning edge. I think the ability for them to, while there was a lot of stuff going on, for them to stay focused was big. But we've got to find a way to learn quicker throughout the game right now, because 3 of the 5 games we've played solid halves. And I understand that we're new and we're playing new opponents and we're playing a new level. But if we can't start getting closer to playing a good 3 to 3.5 quarters, it's going to be tougher sledding than we need it to be. So that's on me, and we've got to learn as we go. Yes, Dean, but I love those guys. I get on my offensive line like all the time, right? And it's because I love them. But it wasn't even just the offensive line. I think if you're talking about the run game differences and the reason why it just felt so yucky in the first half and so good in the second was probably more a function of the running backs. And, if I go back, I might not be exact, but I'm pretty close. In the first 7 drives, we went 2nd and 8, 2nd and 5, 2nd and 10, 2nd and 12, 2nd and 12, 2nd and 10, and we were in 2nd and long a lot. And when you're trying to win games in the manner that we have to play right now, sometimes an ugly 4-yard first down gain is good. And the difference really between that feeling of the run game in the first half and the feeling of the run game in the second half was we were getting to 2nd and 5s and 2nd and 6s. So instead of trying to make a home run out of a play that's not there, we need to learn how to mitigate that. And that's really the biggest run game difference in the second half. And I also give credit to our offensive staff. Like I said, it probably took a quarter longer than I wanted it to, but they were able to find the formations that put the most number of guys in stressful scenarios, and that's what you started to see, on that first drive in the second half, I think, from that point forward. But, we need to be able to figure it out quicker than at halftime. We have to. Greatly. It really does. And so it's in some scenarios, it affords you freedoms and flexibilities to be, that last drive that you saw, that last drive might have only been 35, 40 yards, something like that. But we were able to kind of be a little bit more, conservative, a little more stalwart. But it shouldn't change how the offense attacks, especially in the first half. But the defense right now is playing lights out. One of the things, obviously, we had a huge bust on their one touchdown, right? That's bad, and we got to get that fixed. That's bad, because I think everybody in the stadium, Rachel and Caden Truman and Anna, everybody knew that they were going to take a shot. Everybody. You didn't have to be a college football coach to know that, and we blew it and let them have a ray of hope. My favorite drive was the one after the interception, which was bad. Interception on the sideline. Cade should have eaten it or thrown it away, but where the defense forced them into their second field goal attempt, which just knowing the public out there, I actually think that was not a bad choice to take the field goal because we had our 17-point lead, and they knew they were going to need 3 scores, and that was probably a smart move. But to be able to stop them, I think was ultimate, and that was no small task because that running back is about as good as we're going to see. He was phenomenal. I think so. Frankly, I think so. I think we've got to find ways to get him. I don't like the word rhythm because it insinuates confidence, and we like to live more in the world of belief. But right now, it's just not flowing smoothly, and that's our job as coaches to make sure that we find throws and combinations and scenarios where we can move the pocket around because we know he can throw on the run. We know he can move the ball with his legs when he needs to. You saw that today. But, excuse me. The same thing Pat just asked about the freedoms that that having a defense gives to a play caller. You need to understand that also extends to a quarterback, and you don't have to be jamming that in there. So there are some things that we need to be a whole lot better at. Not seriously. Truth be told, I think last week was a mistake and a failure to switch quarterbacks. I mean, I don't know how to be any more blunt than that. And I don't think we should have. And we wanted to be able to look, if it takes a team and an offense and a coaching staff that are old guys like me to take time to get in a rhythm, we've got to afford that same opportunity to our players, right? And so we decided to, but it was not in consideration today, probably more of a function of what we learned last week, Dean. It was a good one, wasn't it? So I'd like to believe so, but I don't. I mean, right? Who knows? Well, so get this. So we have a play for everything, right? We're like Swiss Army knife. And through the week, we run these things, and we were running it on our defense because we like to punt the ball with Josh Comas quite a bit. He's a very good punter, and he had a really beautiful punt today into a wind, which when you're not a traditional turnover spiral punter is not an easy task, right? And he had a really nice punt. And when they punted, come on, guys. When they punted, the corner, jersey number 1 on our right side, bailed. So the interesting thing there, the human nature of when we were prepared to punt, but we didn't trigger our punt team, they had swapped out on that first punt, and they put a returner on. And we've done this 2 or 3 times in the past to where we stay on offense, and then we punt with the offense. So they ran him off, and in some sort of anxiety, the corner, who was covering the wide receiver, number 1, ran back to get it. So, frankly, we're at halftime. And you know who called that play? Wally Kaczynski called that play, our defensive coordinator. And he goes, "Hey, Coach, did you see that corner?" I said, "I saw that corner." He goes, "You thinking what I'm thinking?" I said, "Yes, sir." So we called that play, and he delivered it, but I thought that was kind of neat. Big play. Ladies?
Looking forward to next week, what are you thinking going into, or like going forward on Wisconsin?
I don't know. And I that's kind of a common theme throughout the year and probably throughout next year as well. Don't know the environment very much. I do know they're a talented football team. They got a beautiful stadium, and it's going to be 84 degrees, right? That's about what I know. I think the manner in which our team learned about travel. I mean, this is not just driving, up Snelling Avenue 3 miles anymore, right? And so part of moving a crew of 60 guys and 10 coaches around and everybody else is something that we have to improve upon. But Stetson, the old head coach, is a fantastic man, and he left that program about 6 months ago to become the president of his alma mater. And we've gotten a chance Roger and I have gotten a chance to grow our relationship a little bit. And he's actually been, even though he's not at Stetson anymore, he's helped me understand and try and learn this league, maybe better than any other coach in the league, which I appreciate. But they will be talented, and it will be hot, and we'll have to find ways to figure things out quicker than we did today. That much I know. Right. Would you have, Pat? Would you have? Okay. Why? Right. Well, we minimize the possibility of a turnover at least, right? Yeah. And on the flip side, I thought that they were doing a pretty good job of getting close on some of our field goal PATs already. And that was probably the biggest concern. You saw us line up in 4 different formations on field goal alone today, and that was to defend what they were doing because Valpo had a really, really good plan to block it, and they're talented. And so what I didn't want to do was I didn't want to put the game in a situation where if they could get a block, we weren't even able to answer with our defense, which obviously I think is playing beautifully right now. So, yes, I did believe we could get it. I thought Cade was running the ball really well. Bruce called a really neat play, and he had it right on the tip of his tongue. He's like, this is what I would do. And I think the two quarterback sneaks prior on short yardage, because if you watch that play, the 2 quarterback sneaks, they were pretty wide, the D-line. And then on that one, boy, they were really tight in there. And so we called an off tackle, off tight end play. And but at the end of the day, those are things that even if you don't get it, to still put our defense on an 83-yard field where the other team has 41 seconds and no timeouts, that seems to be, in my opinion, a good decision too. So, is that it? Thanks so much. Appreciate it.